A river of grief runs through my mom's lineage. A long time ago, before she had any idea that I was going to be her girl, her best friend died in a house fire. My grandpa, who was a volunteer fireman, answered the call and found her body too burned to be saved. My mom, Charlene, was devastated, and no one ever talked with her about it at all. When I was 7, I found myself lying on the musty carpeting of my grandma's bathroom floor. I'll never forget the smell of pepperoni pizza and Pall Mall cigarettes wafting under the door. There was awkward laughter in the background, and I could hear the TV off in the distance. I had just been told that my daddy had died, that my person was gone. I felt like I had done something terribly wrong, and that somehow this was part of my punishment. Just 10 days before, I had gone off to school, and I never saw him alive again. No one took me to the hospital to see him or to say goodbye, and I couldn't understand how he wouldn't ask to see me. From the bathroom, I could hear my mom moaning and sobbing, and I couldn't tell whether she was angry or sad. I couldn't get up. The rug had been pulled out from underneath me, and I felt like I was cut off at the knees. I shattered into a million pieces. But my tummy was tied in knots. No one was coming to check on me. I laid there on the floor like an open wound, raw, vulnerable. I have no idea how long it was before I walked out that door. By the time I was in 3rd grade, I'd gone to 3 schools. I'd lived in 3 cities, and my dog Dutchie had died too. Our home was erratic and sad, and my mom didn't know how to handle us. She didn't know how to or didn't want to be a single parent. One day, my brother and I, we were in the back seat of the car bickering like normal, and the car suddenly did a donut in the middle of the road and shocked us into silence. My mom shrieked that she couldn't handle it anymore, and we were so ungrateful that we didn't need to celebrate his birthday. My throat burned, and I choked back my tears as I walked him up to his room. As a teenager, I would storm off out of anger and frustration at being slapped and told that I was just like my father, as if it was a curse. And then I would turn around and I would yell at and hit my brother for whatever reason. He didn't deserve that, and neither did I. My mom often said that she thought my dad didn't fight for his life, didn't fight for us, and he gave up. My brother and I spent a lot of time crying and trying to figure out why everything felt so wrong and why Mom was so angry. Were we that bad? Why would he give up on us? Were we wrong for living? Everything had changed. We coped by playing with our new kitty, Mandy, And we were happy when we got McDonald's for dinner, especially when it wasn't a Friday. And we loved falling asleep in each other's rooms listening to John Denver and the Muppets and the Charlie Brown Christmas album. I was pissed off that life felt so hard. I felt so much shame for being so needy, for wallowing in my emotions, and for being so fucking pissed off at my mom. I felt guilty for things that weren't my fault, like living and my dad dying. And I felt shame for things that I was actually guilty of, like hitting and hurting my brother. I longed for tenderness, forgiveness, and for unconditional love. I often felt like I lost both my parents when my dad died. 7 years ago, I held a sweat lodge for myself. And I asked, help me know love. Help me clear all the fear that I don't have enough in love inside of me to have my own family. I prayed for my future husband. I prayed to birth a child. And I prayed to love myself. My prayers were answered when I fell in love with the firekeeper of my sweat lodge, and he became my husband, Mark. And 2 years ago, I gave birth to our little miracle daughter, Alana. I am constantly working to forgive myself for carrying all of this grief, anger, and pain for so long. I vowed to not pass these feelings on to my daughter. Some days I still hear that old voice in my head asking me, am I a bad mom? Like it did in my childhood. But now I just hear it and I no longer believe it. Recently, I was holding my daughter, Alana, and as I kissed her forehead, she nestled down into my shoulder, and she was patting me on the back like I pat her, and a song from my childhood was playing in the background. If I had a wish that I could wish for you, I'd make a wish for sunshine all the while. John Denver. I imagined that I was holding my young self too. And I looked down and I saw myself at 5. And I grabbed her hand and I am bringing her with me into the sunshine of my life now, with my family now. The tenderness that I have uncovered through becoming a mother has shown me that the love that I was looking for was inside me all along. I was born into a river of grief, but now I can sit at its banks and I give thanks for all that it's taught me.